Out of the gates and ready to go. Welcome in to America's Guiltiest Pleasure, also known as NFL Daily, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. So glad to have you with us. Coming up on today's show, we got the latest news and rumors from across the National Football League on Tee Higgins, Michael Thomas, also Micah Hyde. We will dive into your Q&A mailbag questions as well. Send them to us using the hashtag NFL or Super Chatting. And we will also look ahead to the start of the 2024 NFL season. I have the top 10 must-see games that you got to watch in 2024. We'll go over my list coming up in just a matter of moments. As you guys file in, we get this show on the road. Shout out your favorite team. We'll shout you out as we are ready to roll here on this Thursday afternoon. Thanks for spending part of your day with us here on the channel. Tyler Jones, big text on the ones and twos. We'll bring him in coming up in just a bit. But want to hear from you guys. Who is your team? Who do you rock with on Sundays? We know the schedule now, so you'll have 17 opportunities at the very least to cheer on your team this season. Who are you rooting for this year? Christopher, a Patriots fan, says go Drake May. Drake May, of course, the new quarterback for the New England Patriots. They're first-round draft pick at number 3 overall. Sports Hulk says Texans. Where else we at, everybody? John, the Dallas Cowboys fan. Good to see you, John. Thanks for joining us in the chat. Dr. Pancake says the G-Men, the New York Football Giants. You guys know I host Seahawks Today around here, so I'm always repping the Seattle Seahawks and certainly excited about what's ahead for Seattle here in 2024 under new head coach Mike McDonald. We got Nathan says Seahawks. Let's go Hawks. Lisa L. Jones checking in the chat. I may know who she is. Says loving me some Bucks with Baker Mayfield. Anthony says Patriots. Jade says Carolina Panthers. Big Tex, in case people don't know, you are a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan, for better or for worse. And
yeah.
You were telling us in the office today about the time you met Troy Aikman, the Hall of Famer Troy Aikman.
Yeah, just give me one sec here and I'll pop up.
Yeah, while you're getting yourself, tell me about this story about the time you met the Hall of Famer Troy Aikman.
Yeah, of course. So it kind of started with, I believe it was like a book signing. I don't know if he was like a part of it. It's like a publisher.
By the way, change my background. This is Steelers.
Oh, yeah. Let me fix that. But I'll keep talking. So
okay,
yeah, basically, it was just like a signing for a book event, and it was at like a theater, and he talked for like a little bit, and then like went one-on-one with like the people that showed up to like the actual like speaking event, which was hosted at like a private theater, which was pretty cool. And we got to talk to him after, and like mentioned how like his mom grew up on our street, like she lived on our street in the 90s. Yeah, like my parents bought our house in the 90s, and his mom lived there when Troy was practicing at the facility in Irving, Texas, which is like 5-10 minutes from where they live. So It was pretty cool. And yeah, Troy's a nice guy. We were having a conversation at work, and we were debating whether or not he's a nice guy or kind of a jerk or whatever. And I think he's nice.
Yeah, I have no reason not to like the Hall of Famer Troy Aikman. He's my favorite analyst on the NFL coverage. Very rich guy, too. Getting paid upwards of $20 million to call games on ESPN and ABC these days. So
yeah, he's making bank. He's making bank.
He's not struggling.
No.
Have you tried his beer? He's got a very good beer.
You did tell me it was good. I haven't tried it yet.
It's not bad for you either. It would be right up your alley because I know you're a big health guy.
Oh, yeah.
So
okay, I'll have to give it a try.
Yeah. Checking in on the chat, Jade, the Panthers fan. I got Bo saying, go Pack, go. The Negro, whoa. I'll stop myself there. The Knee 420, we'll stop with that name.
Okay.
Says Bengals. Also got Mike, the Chiefs fan. Man, you almost got me. With that name. Man, you trying to get me fired on this show? Goodness. J.C. Richardson, Dallas Cowboys. Who's the best team in the NFL right now? I still think it's the Kansas City Chiefs. I think, in fact, Big Tex, that you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, last year was the worst roster of the Mahomes era, and they still won the Super Bowl. They got better. Now, Xavier Worthy, poor guy, got his car broken into, and you got the stuff going on with Rashee Rice and all that. But even with everything, they're still the team to beat as far as I'm concerned. What do you think? Chiefs still the team to beat?
Oh, for sure. No doubt about that. I mean, like, when you repeat as Super Bowl champions and you're threatening to be repeating a third time in a row for the three-peat. Sorry, I also pushed this way in. But, hey, give us your bold prediction while we're talking about this.
Yes.
But, yeah, it's hard to stop a generational quarterback because I grew up, at least, watching Tom Brady do it before Patrick. So that's all I knew as the greatest was, like, Tom. But now you have Patrick, who's arguably the most talented quarterback from a raw perspective, and he's already won, 3 Super Bowls? Right. He can make it 4 now?
Yeah.
So,
I think he's got a great chance to make it 4 this year.
Yeah.
Phobia says the Seahawks are the best team in the NFL this year. That knee says just call me KG. I'd much rather do that than your name that almost got me fired for saying on air. Christopher says Chiefs will repeat. Philip says who dat? Anthony says no, they won't be too hard. Mike says Bears beat the Packers. Give me your bold prediction for the NFL season. Mike saying Bears beat the Packers. My bold prediction is that the Buffalo Bills do not make the playoffs this year. I am selling the Buffalo Bills. I don't like them losing Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis, and their replacement was Keon Coleman. I think they lost a lot. We're going to talk about Micah Hyde coming up later on and the possibility of him coming back. Yes, Tex?
I said the Bills should have got Adonai Mitchell, but that's neither nor here there.
Or Xavier Worthy, either one. That's my bold predictions. The Bills miss the playoffs. Mike says I'm with you on that. Anthony says the Texans will have the 1 seed. I'll say this about the Texans. I really like what they've done this offseason. And that division is manageable. The Jags are okay. The Colts are okay. The Titans are bad. I think that will help to the Texans' advantage potentially to be the number 1 seed because of an easier division there. Let's see. Mike says, Big Tex, are you a Texans or Cowboys fan, and are you from Texas? He'll answer that in a moment as he's adjusting some things. Christopher says, trade Josh Allen out of the AFC East. I don't see that happening. Christopher says he's been the Patriots' kryptonite. Let's see. Mike's saying take your time on answering that question for Mike. Give us your bold prediction. What is it going to be? Jade says Patriots finish 2nd in the NFC South. Steelers have their first losing season since the 90s. Kai says, my bold prediction is the Ravens will represent the AFC in this year's Super Bowl. John says his bold prediction is Tyler is daddy. Okay. Not a father, to my knowledge. Maybe someday. We'll see. All right. The question that Mike wanted to know, Big Tex, was, are you a Texans or Cowboys fan, and are you from Texas?
Okay. So, firstly, to answer the first part of the question, I am a Cowboys fan, for better or for worse. My dad moved to Dallas, in the Dallas area in the late 80s, and became a Cowboys fan throughout the 90s.
So you were forced to be a Cowboys fan?
Yeah, I was forced into it, like brainwashed, if you will.
Yes.
Same thing with my Texas lineage. He went to UT, so obviously I went to UT. But Cowboys fan. I love the Texans. They're an up-and-coming franchise. C.J. Stroud's a stud, but I've never been like a Texans fan. I'm not from the Houston area, regionally speaking, so it just makes more sense. And then what was the other part of the question? It was,
are you from Texas?
Yes, I am. So we work in downtown Dallas, and you can kind of see like the skyscrapers behind us right here. I live where I grew up, I should say, 35 minutes from here. So not far. So I'm a native Texan and a Cowboys fan.
You grew up down the road from Texas Stadium.
Yes. I went to a couple Cowboys games every year.
I missed the hole in the roof.
It was so cool. But now every time I pass it, it's sad because it's just like a parking lot between all the intersection. And I'm just like, it's gone.
Christopher says we're going to have a rematch of Super Bowl I. Do you remember who played in Super Bowl I?
Yes. I actually saw it today. I believe it was the Green Bay Packers and the Chiefs.
Correct.
Ding, 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 ding.
And the Packers won that.
Yes.
That's not crazy, I don't think.
I could see that.
Nathan says Steelers-Seahawks rematch of Super Bowl 40.
Fuck no.
Let's see. Mike says, thank you for the answer, by the way.
Oh, of course, Mike. Thank you for the question.
Mike says Chiefs-Packers. I didn't expect to see all these Chiefs-Packers Super Bowl predictions, but here we are.
A lot of people thinking Jordan Love's going to take another step up.
Maybe so.
I could see it.
All right, we need your mailbag questions. We will do a mailbag. Your chance to get on NFL Daily today with your screen name, your avatar, whatever message you want to put out there. Use the hashtag NFL, or you can super chat. $sign next to the chat box if you would like to contribute. Support the work we're doing. Super Chats will get on the mailbag first. They get priority. And then we'll answer the other mailbag questions after that with the hashtag NFL. So stay tuned for that coming up in just a little while from right now. The more questions, the merrier. Specifically, I want to hear some trade ideas that you guys have. Give me some trade questions, whether it's about a player you think should be traded or a team that needs to make a trade, whatever it is. Give me some trade questions for our mailbag that we have coming up later on. And use that hashtag NFL, as we mentioned, just like Atlantis Gaming.
Good stuff,
did.
Atlantis.
Thank you for that. We'll include that in the mailbag coming up later on. If you want to start today's show, all you have to do is like the video. We're at 21 likes right now. I need to get to 30. And then we will officially get started here with this live edition of NFL Daily. Like the video. The more likes that we get helps the algorithm push this show out to as many people as possible so we can have a big audience here today. Join us on today's show. I got 72 people watching live right now, and I got 24 likes. So I need 6 more to get this show started. Like the video. If you want your team to have a great year, if you're glad to be hanging out here with us on NFL Daily, like the video. 3 more away, and we'll get this show started. In the meantime, while we wait on our 3 likes to begin today's show, let's show you what's on tap here on this live show. We're going to do the latest NFL news and rumors. That's we're talking Tee Higgins, Michael Thomas, Micah Hyde. Also, we'll do a mailbag segment. Use hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get on the mailbag portion of the show. And then we will get your popcorn ready as we will break down the must-watch NFL games of 2024. I got 10 games that stand out among the rest that you have to watch this season. Whatever you do, it's going to be appointment viewing. You got to see these 10 games that we'll break down coming up later on in today's show. We reached 30 likes, so that means we can get started. Our first segment, news and rumors, coming up now here on this live edition of NFL Daily. Tyler Jones, Big Tex here with you. Thanks for hanging out with us on this Thursday afternoon. No place I'd rather be than talking about the National Football League. Without further ado, let's get going. Coming up on this edition of NFL Daily, we'll have the latest on Tee Higgins as he's not happy about his situation in Cincinnati. Also got an update on Michael Thomas and where he could be potentially headed in NFL free agency. And what's going on with Micah Hyde? Could he be retiring? We'll let you hear directly from Hyde coming up later on here on today's show. I am the somewhat capable host, Tyler Jones, here with you. Thanks for hanging out here on NFL Daily. Let's start with Tee Higgins. According to ESPN's Adam Schefter, he is pissed off right now. Did I stutter with that? I did not. No, he is not happy with his situation in Cincinnati. If you recall, he got the franchise tag, and after that requested a trade from the Cincinnati Bengals. Ultimately, they did not trade him. He is still around, wants to get paid, wants that long-term contract. He has said that he expects to play in Cincinnati this season despite all of this. So where do things stand as far as Tee Higgins and his future goes with the Bengals? We'll discuss and let you hear what Adam Schefter had to say in just a moment. Before we do, if you want your favorite team to make the NFL playoffs this season, like the video. Don't jinx it. I have been told that if you like today's video, your team is guaranteed to make the postseason. Now, you may be saying, that's ridiculous, Tyler. Well, why even take a chance on it? Just do your part. Like the video if you want your team to make the playoffs, and we'll get started. Let's begin with what Shefty had to say. This was on NFL Live on Wednesday, a back-and-forth discussion with him and Dan Orlovsky. Shefty said the following in regards to Tee Higgins. He's going into the last year of his contract. He's not going to get the money. So what's going to happen? Middle of the season, if and when his knee's creaky, his hamstring is tight, his shoulder is sore, is he playing through those injuries weeks before he becomes a free agent, or is he going to make a business decision? Now, with that said, I am of the belief that winning solves everything, okay? Similar situation last year, the Baltimore Ravens did not pay Patrick Queen despite the money that he was wanting, and he requested a trade, wanted out of Baltimore and all that. Well, what do you know? He still had a fantastic season, put his differences aside, and the Ravens had the best record in the AFC. Tee Higgins, I think that if the Bengals get off to a good start this year, and if they're a contending team, you're not going to have to worry about a lack of effort with Tee Higgins. I don't think that his lingering free agency is going to be an issue. I would be surprised if Higgins isn't balling out in 2024. You look at Tee Higgins, and there is some injury history there. This past season, he was held out of 5 games with a hamstring issue, but he's been consistently solid over the years. He's had 4 straight seasons with at least 656 yards and 5 touchdowns. He's been the number 2 target behind Jamar Chase there in Cincinnati for the former second-round pick out of Clemson. And you look at the statistics. He's been very, very good as he's had 2 1,000-yard seasons in 2022 and in 2021. And you go back even further than that. He came very close in 2020 with 908 yards and 6 touchdowns. So he's been very consistent over that stretch. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, if you recall back in April, reported there are no plans to trade Tee Higgins, that the Cincinnati Bengals are going all in on this year. And if you recall, Trey Hendrickson's name has also come up of wanting out in Cincinnati, right? And with the money that is going to be owed here in the future to Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, I think Zach Taylor and the Cincinnati Bengals are very self-aware that they have a limited window that they need to take advantage of, that this is their year. If they're going to win it all, this is their best chance they're probably going to have in quite some time. So I would expect that Tee Higgins still remains in Cincinnati and still plays at a high level. What do you guys think? Will Tee Higgins have a big season with the Bengals? Will he go hard and ball out this year and then put himself in position for a big payday next offseason? Let me know what you think. It's our pinned comment today. Y for yes, N for no. Chime in the comment section. Let us know what you think if Higgins is going to have a big year or not. Could Michael Thomas be on his way to Denver? Bleacher Report is suggesting that the former Saints wide receiver could be on his way to the Denver Broncos, reuniting with his former head coach, Sean Payton. Listen to this. There's only one fit, because if there's a player that is as washed as hell, no one should want to sign him. It's Michael Thomas. But if there's a head coach, there was a GM that were to sign Michael Thomas, it'd be none other than his former coach, Sean Payton. Look, if we're going to be honest here, Michael Thomas, he's cooked. He's washed. He has literally nothing left in the tank. Nothing good to offer any of these NFL teams at this point in his career. But based on the moves the Broncos have made, and with how should I say this? The moves that I'm not necessarily fond of, the decisions that they've made within that organization, I would not be shocked at all if Sean Payton feels like, you know what? That's the guy we should go get, is Michael Thomas here. Previously with the Saints from 2016 and 2023, it wasn't too long ago, he was the NFL's Offensive Player of the Year back in 2019. A 3-time Pro Bowler, a 2-time first-team All-Pro selection back in that 2019 season when he was Offensive Player of the Year. But it has been a long road for Michael Thomas the last few years. He has not looked like himself since that great 2019 season. The stats for Michael Thomas, as you can see last year, just 39 catches, less than 500 yards, only 1 touchdown grab. And then the previous 2 seasons, 2020 and 2022, obviously he had the injury in 2021, only played a combined 10 games in those 2 seasons. So could be an opportunity for the Broncos to get Thomas on a discount. What do you think? Will Denver sign Michael Thomas? Type S for sign, type P for pass. Let us know in the comments section below. We are covering the National Football League each and every day here on NFL Daily with the latest happenings across the league with daily NFL news and rumors. We're bringing you live shows twice a week, and we are telling you everything you need to know. Your off-season headquarters is right here on NFL Daily by Chat Sports. Subscribe now for free. Doesn't cost you a thing. Stay up to date with everything going on across the NFL. YouTube.com/ChatSportsTV to subscribe for free. Never miss a moment. We got you covered. Subscribe now. Micah Hyde, he remains available in free agency. And when he spoke to the media this past week, Hyde suggested that his NFL future might be over with he was pretty clear. He said it's going to be one of two things. He is either going to retire or he is going to return to the Buffalo Bills, who just released him, if you recall, a while back. Here's more of what Micah Hyde had to say, courtesy of WGRZ. When asked about his future, Hyde said, "I really don't know, you guys, how difficult it was with my neck and having those stingers. So I just said, let me get away from it for a little bit. And if time comes and the juices get flowing again, then we'll try to give it a spin. But there's no rush at all on my end." You look at the Buffalo Bills. This is a team that is now paying Josh Allen a lot of money. And they've lost a lot this offseason on both sides of the ball. If I'm the Buffalo Bills, I am hoping and praying that Micah Hyde can get healthy and that he can return to this team. Because right now, the Buffalo Bills, they are a desperate football team, and I think they're desperate for the services of Micah Hyde to help out this defense. A two-time second-team All-Pro as recently as 2021, a Pro Bowler back in 2017, previously with the Bills and the Packers. This Bills team could certainly use Micah Hyde, and although he hasn't been the All-Pro that he was a couple of years ago, he's still coming off a solid campaign in 2023 where he had 2 interceptions, 7 pass breakups, 54 tackles. You go back to 2021, he was a turnover machine with 5 interceptions, 10 pass breakups, also had 74 tackles there. So he's lost a step, but if he can get healthy, I think he's still got something for the Bills to offer. What will Micah Hyde do this upcoming season? Will he return to Buffalo? Will he retire? Or will he ultimately end up playing for somebody else? Weigh in the comment section. Let us know what you think happens with Micah Hyde. Thanks for joining us here on this edition of NFL Daily. If you enjoyed today's show, you want to see your team in the playoffs, like the video. We certainly would appreciate it. And we shall see you next time right here on NFL Daily. All right. That is one segment down. 2 to go. We'll do our mailbag coming up next. Use hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get on the mailbag portion of today's show. Let's ask you about Tee Higgins now. Will he have a big season with the Bengals or not? Y for yes, in for no. Big Tex, you heard what I had to say there. I still think that he'll perform at a high level because if he has a down year, if he doesn't show that want to, if you will, then he's gonna pay for it. He'll lose money he could potentially get on the free agent market.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you, man. I think he has. It's almost like you're making a brick a year in Cincinnati. You got to prove why you deserve a paycheck, and if you don't, and you walk in free agency and you stink this year, which I don't think he will. I think, like you said, he's going to ball out. Then you're screwed. So I feel like you have to play well in order to progress your career and have a successful future in the NFL. If you don't, you're fucked.
Well, and the comparison I made was Patrick Queen. Look at Patrick Queen. He got paid really good by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Despite him not being happy with that situation, he put that aside, still had a big year, and got rewarded for it by Pittsburgh with a lot of money. So Tee Higgins, I expect to still have a big year. What do you guys think? Y for yes, in for no. Lon says no. Mike Nintendo Master says no. Anthony says yes. Mike says, I don't think he will. Atlanta's is Gaming says yes, that Tee Higgins will have a big season. Mailbag coming up next. Tex, we could use some questions, and people can make life a lot easier on you just by simply using the hashtag NFL to get their questions in or super chatting. So get your questions in. How many questions do we need before we start this? I think we need about 2 more questions. About 2 more questions, and we'll get this thing started with our mailbag. There's one from Anthony. And then after our mailbag, we will discuss the must-watch NFL games of the upcoming 2024 season. I got 10 games that you have to watch this year, so we'll do that coming up next. Mike, I see your question. Thanks for that. EV, I see your question as well. I believe we're about ready to go with our mailbag. And if you think of more questions as we're going along on the mailbag portion of the show, keep sending them in as we go through this segment using hashtag NFL or super chatting to get on that mailbag. And specifically, I want some trade ideas that you guys got. Send me some trades that you'd potentially like to see. go ahead and throw those in, and we'll get those up here coming up in just a bit. All right, without further ado, mailbag time here on NFL Daily. We will answer your questions, send in those trade ideas, and we'll get started here on today's show. You're watching NFL Daily, powered by Chat Sports. I am the one and only Tyler Jones here with you. We are talking mailbag questions from you guys. Comes from our Thursday live show where you guys use the hashtag NFL or you super chat. We react to your questions in real time. And you may be saying, how do I get to be a part of a mailbag? Well, if you subscribe to the channel, you'll know when we go live and bring you these live shows that we do here on NFL Daily. So go ahead, subscribe now. We are your off-season headquarters. We're talking everything from trades to free agency, all the lead-up till training camp is covered right here on Chat Sports. Bosses want to know, can we get 20 subs off today's show? I believe we can. Up to you guys to make it happen. Subscribe now for free, youtube.com/chatsportstv, and never miss a moment. First question coming in from Liam Neeson. How's this from Liam Neeson? Is Davante Adams happy in Las Vegas? Could he be traded? Very interesting, Liam. Thanks for the question. Davante Adams, happy? I wouldn't necessarily say happy because it's hard to imagine that a player of his caliber, who is still one of the best in the National Football League, despite being in no man's land in Las Vegas with that just bad Raiders team and how disastrous the last 2 years has gone. Hard to imagine him being happy. But happy enough to request a trade? I don't think so. I think this next year will tell us a lot when it comes to Davante Adams. If the Raiders have a down year, then I could see him wanting out after this upcoming year. But I would be shocked if he gets traded right now. I know that there's some teams that jump out right away. People think like the Baltimore Ravens, the Dallas Cowboys, the New York Jets, just as examples of teams that could potentially be interested if he were to hit the trade market. But I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he stays in Vegas for now. Let's see how this season goes. How about the quarterback play? Is Gardner Minshew or AOC going to be good enough for Davante Adams? That all remains to be seen, but I don't think he's going anywhere right now. Will the Raiders trade Davante Adams? What do you guys think? Y for yes, N for no. Chime in that comment section. Tell me if you think Davante Adams is gone or not. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. You choose 2 or more players on any given category. Excuse me. Sorry. Just start with reading. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. Choose 2 or more players on any given category. You get the choice of more or less, whether you're talking fantasy points, maybe it's rebounds in basketball, goals in hockey, home runs in baseball, all sorts of different categories to choose from. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS for a $100 deposit match on your first entry. Here's what I got on Prize Picks, folks. I'm going with DK Metcalf to have more than 1,025.5 receiving yards. I got Lamar Jackson to have more than 3,600.5 passing yards. If both those hit, then that's going from $20 to $60 on Prize Picks. Play along with me, prizepicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS for a $100 deposit match on your first entry. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Check out Prize Picks today, and you will be glad you did. Next question coming in from Give Mouse a Cookie. What's going on with Marshawn Lattimore? Will the Saints trade him? So Marshawn Lattimore, that situation is interesting because the Saints are in salary cap hell, right? And that situation is, I think, where Lattimore would like to play for a contending team and make good money and all that, and the Saints potentially could unload Marshawn Lattimore. I think it's about a 50-50 possibility when it comes to the Saints potentially moving on from Marshawn Lattimore. I could see a number of teams that need help at corner looking to make a move. I know that the Ravens were talked about a while back, but since then they've loaded up in the draft with the additions they've made at the corner position. When you've talked about what they did with getting Nate Wiggins and TJ Tampa, so I don't think Baltimore is necessarily that team, but maybe a team like Miami, who could use some help on that defense, could use a guy like Marshawn Lattimore. I think that's a possibility. I think the Carolina Panthers, I know it's an intra-division situation, so could be unlikely, but if you're the Saints, I don't think you're fearing Carolina as far as that goes. Maybe the Dallas Cowboys could use some help at the corner position. Those are some teams that come to mind. But if the Saints do decide they want to move on from Lattimore, there'll be plenty of teams that'd be interested in Lattimore's services. Will these Saints trade Marshawn Lattimore? What do you guys think? T for trade, P for pass. Will we see a trade involving the Saints corner? Let us know in the comment section below. Mike wants to know, will the Cowboys trade for Debo? You know, I look at that Cowboys team, and they could use a guy like Debo Samuel. CeeDee Lamb doesn't have a ton of help in that receiving core. And some of you may be saying, well, wait, why would the Niners want to trade with the Cowboys, considering they're two of the upper echelon teams in the NFC and help Dallas out? Well, they traded him Trey Lance last year. That shocked everybody, so there is some precedent there. Jerry, I'm still waiting on that splash for him to make. We heard him say they were going all in this offseason, right? And they haven't done much. They've lost 5 starters on that offense. I wouldn't rule it out, but I would say it's unlikely that Dallas ends up trading for Debo. I do think the Niners will trade Debo, but I would be surprised if Dallas ultimately is that destination. Christopher writes in, will Tee Higgins be traded? I want him in New England. I don't think Tee Higgins is getting traded. I think that the Cincinnati Bengals are going all in on this year, that they're going to hang on to him for now and kind of let the situation play out. They'll pay him his money for this year, and then Tee Higgins will get paid big money elsewhere next year as a free agent, that they'll settle for the comp pick that they can get for him. New England, I think, is the obvious choice. They need some help for Drake May. They need some young talent there. Tee Higgins would be a nice fit, but I would be surprised if Tee Higgins got dealt with this circumstance of the Cincinnati Bengals just trying to capitalize on what they got. Mike wants to know, my bold signing, Michael Thomas to the Chargers. You know, the Chargers are desperate at receiver as well, and they don't have a ton of cash to spend. Remember, they were in a tough salary cap situation entering this offseason. So if you're wanting to take a flyer on a guy, get help at the receiver position, then I think the Chargers could be a potential good fit. We talked about on the channel earlier this week that the Denver Broncos could reunite with Michael Thomas as well. So that's a possibility. But Michael Thomas, yeah, I would say the Chargers would make that short list potentially for Michael Thomas. Skeletor writes in, who should the Ravens trade for this offseason? I want the Ravens to go get receiver help. I want the Ravens to go get a splash receiver, whether it's a Debo Samuel type. That name's been thrown out there for the Bengals. Some of these other receivers, like we mentioned Devontae Adams earlier, I don't see that happening, but if it were to come available, that'd be great. Courtland Sutton, I think, is the most likely option for the Baltimore Ravens to potentially acquire. You look at the situation with the Broncos. They're strapped for cash with all the money they're owing to Russell Wilson. And that's a team that's rebuilding. If you're Baltimore, could give up potentially like a 3rd or 4th round pick. I think that could make sense. Mike wants to know, should the 49ers trade for Joey Bosa? Put the Bosa brothers together. As cool as that would be, I don't think it's likely. The Niners, I think their number one priority should be trying to keep Debo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk and try to hold this roster together. That defense was arguably one of, if not the best defenses in all of football last year. As good of a player Joey Bosa is, I just don't see that happening. It would cost so much. I don't think it necessarily makes financial sense to bring in a guy like Bosa, and I think the Chargers are happy with Bosa and they want to keep him around. Last question. Name a player that Eric DeCosta and the Ravens need to sign in NFL free agency. Keep an eye on those receivers, man. The Tyler Boyds of the world. some of these other receivers that are hanging out there. That's what I would look for, is the Ravens potentially to target some of those receivers that are on the market right now. Thanks for the question there. Thank you all for joining us here on NFL Daily. Who's a player that gets traded before the start of the NFL season? Give me a name that comes to mind. Let us know in the comments section. Subscribe now to NFL Daily. Stay up to date with the latest happenings across the National Football League, and we shall see you next time here on the program. All right. So, will the Raiders trade Davante Adams? Why for yes, in for no? What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments section if the Raiders will trade Davante Adams. I don't know why. I just, something got stuck in my throat, some bug. I'm fine. I'm not sick or anything. But, hey, we power through the segment. We make things all right. Take a little swig of the Coca-Cola Zero. Tex, I'm not a Marvel fan. Who is this Marvel character on my Coke Zero? Can you tell? Captain Marvel.
Not to be a hater or anything, but she had like long hair in the first movie, and then they made it into like a mohawk, and it just, not a fan. Big Tech's not a fan.
Not a fan of Captain Marvel. What movie is Captain Marvel in?
She's in several. I'm going to get scrutinized in the comments because I'm not super versed on, Marvel. I think she's in one of the Avengers movies, one or two of those, maybe three of those, and then has her own standalone films as well.
Okay. Maybe I need to watch Captain Marvel. Mike said it's Black Panther. That doesn't look like Black Panther to me.
Can guarantee you that's not Black Panther. It does look like it from afar because of shadowing, but I saw the mohawk and I knew immediately.
Will the Raiders trade Davante Adams? Mike says yes. Anthony says no. Let's go ahead and get to our final segment. Must see. The top 10 must-watch NFL games this upcoming season. The schedule is out. Let's tell you the games that you need to watch this year. We'll break that down coming up next. By the way, Lon says no Mohawks. Senior year, had a Mohawk lady behind me in science class. That's funny. When I was in junior high, I wanted a Mohawk. Never got the Mohawk, though. Probably, looking back, was a good decision. Anthony says you don't need to watch Captain Marvel. Mike says I was looking on my phone. Couldn't tell. Okay, that tells me all I need to know. Let's see. John says the Ravens will play in the Super Bowl this year. We'll see. It very well could. All right, final segment. Must-see NFL games of 2024. We'll break those down for you. Coming up next, I'll take one more swig. Make sure we don't cough again in this next segment. All right. There we go. Without further ado, let's get this thing started here on NFL Daily. You're watching NFL Daily, powered by Chat Sports. I am Tyler Jones, and the NFL schedule is out. So with that in mind, what we're going to do here on today's show is I got the top 10 list of must-see TV games that you need to watch this season. Appointment viewing, if you will. We'll go over my list of the games that you have to find a way to watch in some way, shape, or form, whether it takes you a streaming service or watching on Sunday Ticket, or maybe it's a primetime game. You got to stop whatever you're doing to watch these 10 games we'll talk about here on today's show. Before we do, I want to know, which NFL game are you most looking forward to this upcoming season? No wrong answers here. Just let me know in the chat. Which one are you most excited about? Chime in the comment section and let us know what you think. Number one on my list is the Super Bowl rematch between the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. This game will take place in late October from Santa Clara. And I got to tell you, we saw last year a really good Super Bowl rematch when the Eagles got revenge on the Chiefs and won that Monday night game. I think the San Francisco 49ers are going to come in hungry in this game. And the rivalry, if you will, we've seen some really good games between these two teams. We've seen them in 2 Super Bowls. We've seen some regular season matchups. I'm excited about this one here to see what the Niners have cooked up. And it'll be a good measuring stick. Entering 2024, these are the 2 favorites again in their respective conferences. It'll be a good mark to see where these teams are at 7 weeks into the season. Mahomes, Brock Purdy, Part 2. Let's get to it. I'm excited about that. Another game I'm excited about, featuring the Kansas City Chiefs, It is the NFL opening night game, a rematch of the AFC Championship between the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs will raise the championship banner to celebrate their most recent Super Bowl title on this night. The Baltimore Ravens looking to spoil the party after the Chiefs came into Baltimore and pulled off the upset to advance to the Super Bowl by beating Baltimore. Lamar Jackson and company taking on Patrick Mahomes, two of the best young quarterbacks in football. Lamar coming off that MVP campaign. I think we're in for an exciting matchup between these two teams. It is appointment viewing anytime we see Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes go head-to-head. We've seen some great regular season games between these two over the years as well. I'm excited about this one to start the NFL season. Who do you got on NFL opening night? You going with the Chiefs or are you going with the Ravens? Type KC for Kansas City. Type BAL for Baltimore. Let us know in the comments section below. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. You choose two or more players on any given category. Get the choice of more or less. Whether you're talking fantasy points, maybe it's rebounds in basketball, home runs in baseball, birdies in the PGA Championship going on this weekend. All sorts of different categories to choose from. Here's what I got on Prize Picks. I'm going with DK Metcalf to hit the more on 1,025.5 receiving yards this season. Got Lamar Jackson to have more than 3,600.5 passing yards this year as well. If I put $20 down, both these hit, that's going to turn into $60 on Prize Picks. Play along with us. PrizePicks.com/SailAtS. Promo code SailAtS for a $100 deposit match on your first entry. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, proud partner of NFL Daily. Glad to have them on board here on today's show. The number 3 game on my list is the Jets and the 49ers, another game involving San Francisco, and it is the much-anticipated return of Aaron Rodgers. If you recall, on Monday Night Football last year, after, 4 plays, he tore his Achilles, had that badass moment where he brought out the American flag and everything, and that was it for Aaron Rodgers' his first year with the New York Jets. Now we're going to see him open up the year on Monday Night Football again, taking on a team that has been his kryptonite. We know Aaron Rodgers grew up a San Francisco 49ers fan. We know about the infamous moment in the NFL draft when he said that the Niners were going to regret not drafting him and taking Alex Smith. There's some history there between Aaron Rodgers and the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners coming off a Super Bowl appearance. A lot of high expectations there. They would love to set the tone early. Look for Aaron Rodgers and company to make some noise there in their Week 1 contest against San Francisco. Number 4 on my list, arguably the best rivalry in the NFL, the Cowboys and the Eagles. And I know that they play twice, but in particular, I'm looking at that December 29th matchup. This game will take place Week 17. And this could determine who ultimately wins the division between these two teams. And the expectations are the Cowboys and the Eagles are going to be very close in talent level this year, that this is a division that could come down to the wire. It might be this game that ultimately decides it all. Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, two of the best quarterbacks in football. It'll be just after Christmas, so you don't have to worry about snowballs being thrown at Santa Claus and all that, but should be an exciting atmosphere for Dallas and Philadelphia with a potential NFC East Division title on the line. Number 5, for me, it's the Harbaugh Bowl. The Ravens and the Chargers. November 25th, we will see Jim and John square off head-to-head for the first time in a very long time. If you recall, we had a Harbaugh Bowl in the Super Bowl several years ago where it was John Harbaugh and the Ravens that got the best of Jim Harbaugh in the San Francisco 49ers. Now, we see the Ravens traveling to Inglewood to take on the Chargers for this matchup. Two very good quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson and Justin Herbert. The Ravens have championship aspirations. The Chargers are looking like a borderline playoff team this year. This could be a crucial matchup for both those teams and bragging rights on the line in the Harbaugh household. Between the Harbaugh brothers, who is the better coach? Jim's coming off a national title at Michigan. John, of course, has the Super Bowl ring. Who's the better brother? Is it Jim or is it John? Type Jim for Jim Harbaugh. Type John for John Harbaugh. Let us know in the comments section. We are covering the National Football League each and every day here at NFL Daily, your one-stop shop for all things NFL with daily news and rumors, live shows twice a week. We'll have our red zone coverage throughout the NFL season as well. Never miss a moment. Stay up to date with everything you need to know across the NFL. Subscribe now for free, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Stay up to date. Join the family of 300,000 plus subscribers here on the channel. Subscribe now. You'll be glad you did. Number 6 on my list, I'm going to go with the Bengals and the Chiefs. And the Bengals have been the kryptonite of sorts of the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes only has one career victory against Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. We saw this matchup in the AFC Championship a couple years ago, where the Bengals went into Kansas City and defeated the Chiefs in overtime to get to the Super Bowl. The Bengals have had their fair share of wins in the regular season as well against Kansas City. Week 2, we should see the Bengals at full strength. Last year, they dealt with a lot of injuries throughout the year, right? Joe Burrow was gone for much of the season. Tee Higgins was banged up. You would think week 2, the Bengals should be pretty healthy, and we should get a pretty good idea of how good the Bengals are at this point, if they're ready for prime time or not. This game going to be seen on CBS. I think we're in for a treat week 2. Tough start for Kansas City with Baltimore and Cincinnati to open up the year. Number 7 on our list, we're going with the Falcons and the Vikings. This is Kirk Cousins' return to Minnesota, assuming he's still the starter at that point and not Michael Penix Jr., as this game will take place in early December. And just the fact that Cousins is going back to Minnesota after leaving the Vikings in free agency, they wanted him back. Ultimately, he moves on to Atlanta. A Vikings team that has lost a lot. They're trying to figure themselves out. Late December could be a crucial game for them if they're in playoff contention. The Atlanta Falcons, meanwhile, this is the team that has a lot to prove. They're expected to compete towards the top of the NFC this year. Can they go in and get Cousins that win in Minnesota and kind of silence that crowd, if you will? I'll be intrigued. Is he going to get booed? Is he going to get cheered? How will he get recognized in Minnesota? I think it's a fascinating matchup. Number 8 on my list is Chiefs at Bills. And I know what some of you are thinking. When the Chiefs and Bills play, it's usually an incredible football game, right? The reason why I have this 8 on my list is because I'm skeptical about the Bills this year, folks. I have already said on record, I think the Bills are going to miss the playoffs this year. I think the Bills are going to take a step back. And so that's why I have this game lower, despite the fact that we saw one of the greatest playoff games of all time between these two teams a couple of years ago. Despite we saw a great game in the divisional round last year. I'm just not sold on Buffalo this year. That's why I have this game lower on my list. But it's still Patrick Mahomes. It's still Josh Allen. Mahomes going on the road to Orchard Park. It's going to be in mid-November. Could be some weather involved there. Should be a great atmosphere for this Kansas City-Buffalo game. Now, speaking of the Chiefs, are they going to repeat as Super Bowl champions? Are they going for 3 in a row? Will Mahomes get his 4th ring? What do you guys think? Chime in the comment section. Let us know why for yes and for no. Number 9 on our list, on Christmas Day, the Baltimore Ravens face off with the Houston Texans on Netflix. Yes, if you don't have a Netflix subscription, you're going to have to subscribe before Christmas to get this game. A lot of hype around the Houston Texans this season. C.J. Stroud entering his 2nd year. All sorts of talent. The Stephon Diggs trade. Will Anderson, of course, his 2nd season. He's got a lot of hype. You brought in Danielle Hunter. The Texans are kind of the sexy pick, if you will. If it's not Kansas City, it's Houston. A lot of people think to win the AFC. This will be a crucial game for them if they want to get home field advantage in the AFC. And the same can be said for the Baltimore Ravens, as they're going to be a contending team with high hopes late in the season. This could decide who ultimately has home field advantage. Should be a great game there on Christmas Day. Last on my list, it's a Week 1 matchup. The Packers and the Eagles will take place in Brazil. And this game will be seen exclusively on the Peacock Network on a Friday night. The Packers A lot of hype about Jordan Love as he's entering his second year as the starter. Can they build upon what they did at the end of last year, winning a playoff game, beating the Dallas Cowboys, coming up just short against San Francisco? Philadelphia at one point in the season last year was the best team in the NFL, but then they fell apart down the stretch. Can they get their season started on the right foot right away? Big game for both these teams. Should be an incredible atmosphere there in Brazil. Hopefully the turf is okay. That's always a concern anytime we do these international games, but very excited to see the Packers and the Eagles there on that opening Friday night. If you're ready for some football, spam Real One in the comments section. We certainly appreciate you. Thanks for joining us here on this edition of NFL Daily. I'm Tyler Jones. We'll see you next time. All right. We are just about done. Will the Chiefs repeat as Super Bowl champions? Wife for yes, in for no. What do you guys think? I lean towards yes. I haven't seen any reason otherwise to think that they won't. But what do you guys think? Jacob says no. Jacob, if it's not the Chiefs, who's it going to be then? Mike says maybe. Lon says maybe. Maybe was not an option, folks. It was wife for yes or in for no. Yeah. Let us know. Thanks for joining us, folks, here on NFL Daily. Big thanks to Big Tex for holding things down on the ones and twos. I'm Tyler Jones. Subscribe to Chat Sports. Stay up to date what's going on across the National Football League, and we will see you next time. So long, everybody.